Okay, it's been a bit. It's been a minute since I've done a video. I thought about going live tonight, but I just kind of want to see what kind of outreach I get if I don't do live, since I don't have that many subscribers or followers. And I wouldn't have given much notice for a live. I'm trying to do this before I cook dinner in about 45 minutes. So there's been a little bit that I wanted to talk about, and I thought now is the perfect time to do it. No, we still haven't shot anymore. It's clear right now, but the sun just went down. We wouldn't have been able to shoot for at least 2 hours. And on the forecast, it says the clouds are going to start coming in around 8. So, and also it's a big moon. I didn't look to see. Excuse me. 82%. So we're heading towards a full moon. It's just not lately when it's clear, it's going towards a full moon. And when any other time, like if it's a new moon, then it's snowing. So it's like we're really like in this off cycle right now. So anyways, of course we want to shoot, but it's a lot more fun when you're not having to fight with stuff, when you just know it's going to be a good night for it or a good couple of nights for it, and it's just not looking that way. And with the moon heading towards full, it's just not worth it. But that doesn't mean that we can't talk a little bit about bipolar disorder. And it's been on my mind the last couple of days, and I thought I'd do just a quick discussion about it. A lot of people with bipolar disorder stop their medication. They get on something, they don't like how it makes them feel, they get off it. And it's a really interesting dynamic. It's a little bit like alcoholism. I would say it's a lot like alcoholism, and that's another conversation for another day. But, a lot of alcoholics miss how they feel when they're drunk. A lot of people with bipolar miss how they feel when they're not medicated. I wasn't that way personally. I think I'm just different than most in a way that's very hard to explain. My bipolar scared me so much that it wasn't really a question. Like, I got on medication and I started feeling different, and I just almost didn't even care how it made me feel because I couldn't be what I was before. That's just me. I'm sure there's other people like that out there, but the majority of people with bipolar disorder stop their medications. They miss the euphoria. They miss the energy. They get a lot more work done. I think they miss the high. It's a bit of a high. I think they miss the high. And I wanted to talk about what medication does. Now, I didn't pull up anything to screen share. I didn't do any research on this. This isn't one of those conversations where I feel like we're going to have a discussion about, oh, this article said statistically this or that. I'm not doing that today, and that's fine. But what I wanted to talk about was my experience with medication. 2 poignant notes here. One, at first, it made me feel like a zombie. And point number 2, it ended up being like a good pair of eyeglasses. So let me preface this with when I got out of the hospital. So I was in the psych hospital for nearly 7 days. I was close to 7 days. And I believe I was on 7 medications when I came out. And you want to talk about a broken mental health system? 7 medications. Sorry, my cat's shaking the table. 7 medications for one diagnosis is completely outrageous. Completely outrageous, unnecessary in every degree. I don't care who you are. You can try to argue that with me. I'm not going to change my mind. That is too much medication for one person, especially for one thing. I don't even care if you have a dual diagnosis or a tri-diagnosis. It's too much medication. And if you, in my opinion, this is opinion only, you can take it or leave it. If you're going to a doctor and let's say you've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, multiple personality disorder, ADHD, whatever it is, and you're on 6 medications, you need to fire your doctor and go somewhere else. because they are not advocating for you, and you need to advocate for yourself. So what happened to me was I got out of the psych hospital. I'm on 7 different medications for which I decided, no, this is what I said. I don't have bipolar disorder. I'm not taking these meds. I quit it all. I ended up having to have an endoscopy procedure because the medications tore up my gut so bad. It felt kind of like an ulcer. They did find a hiatal hernia, which probably wasn't caused by that, but I was very red and inflamed by all of this medication I was taking. I got off of all of the medication. That would have been, I got out of the psych hospital in April. I stopped all of the medication within maybe 2 weeks. So by May or mid-May, I was off completely. Sorry, there's a hair. And I accepted that my diagnosis of bipolar type 1 was probably true by about July. And then by October, I went to my primary care physician and I flat out told him, I said, fine, I have bipolar disorder. I'm willing to accept that. Let me tilt this down a little bit. Too much headroom above the top here. I'm willing to accept that. I will take a medication for this, but we're going to start low and then we're going to go from there. So my doctor put me on a very low dose of Seroquel. I was meant to take it when I woke up and before I went to bed. And I tried that and for, I don't know, probably about 10 days, and I could not stay awake. I would wake up and take it. I would get in the shower and I would fall asleep with a towel on. Like I could not stay awake. Then I would take it at night. So basically I was like sleeping my life away. So I called my doctor, like 10 days of trying to adapt. And I'm like, we got to talk. And so I went in and I said, this isn't working. I don't know what you want to do, but this isn't working. And he said to me, let's just try you taking 1 at night before bed. And I've been on this same medication for 8.5 years. I take it once a night before I go to bed. And yes, it makes me sleep and it makes me sleepy, but I can say that before I started taking this medication versus after, I realized that I don't think I was ever really sleeping hard before I started taking this medication. And there's so much that is important with sleep. We all know this. We all read these things that talk about how important sleep is. She just jumped off the table. I'm so sorry. I got to figure out a better way, but whatever. One day at a time. If you're not getting deep REM sleep, your brain can't repair itself from all of the processing that it does throughout the day. It just can't. And looking back on my life, yeah, I was sleeping before my medication. I was sleeping, but I don't think I was ever getting deep REM sleep. And if I wasn't getting enough. So after I started taking this medication and I started sleeping, I guess you would say harder, I realized that I feel like leading up to my diagnosis, I feel like I hadn't really slept for almost 34 years. Like, I don't feel like I ever got a good night's sleep. So my medication started doing that for me. Now, it took some time for me to adapt. One thing that I was having with this medication, it was a side effect, it was rapid heartbeat. So like I would be downstairs and I will have already taken my medication, and then I get this rapid heartbeat and I try to go upstairs to go to bed and I can't make it. And one time I laid on the kitchen floor here for 20 minutes before I felt like, okay, I can crawl myself up the stairs to get into bed. I think I skipped brushing my teeth, which I never skip. I just couldn't do. It's like I couldn't do. And I thought, okay, let's give this some time. Let's see how this goes, how long this lasts. And I kept going with it. I thought, we'll see if this becomes a thing where I need to talk to him, my doctor, about this. And within probably about 10 days, I was having the rapid heartbeat and like the extreme fatigue of it. but it was lessening. It was getting less, maybe not the extreme fatigue, but the rapid heartbeat was dying off slowly. And I thought, okay. And I looked it up as a side effect. It's a pretty common one. And yeah, there's risks to all these medications, ultimately could kill you. Well, okay, fine. So I died trying. There are worse things to die for. At least I died trying. If that happens, that happens. I don't want to die of a stroke or a heart attack because I've been awake for a week and I'm manic and I walk out in front of a car and get killed. I don't want that to be the way I go. If I have a choice in the matter, I want to die trying. So at this point, if I have a heart attack as a side effect of my medication, then so be it. Because I'm so much calmer and at much more peace and resolve in my life living this way, fine. If that's how my story ends, then fine. I'm okay with that. I've made my peace with that. A lot of people don't like the zombie feeling that I mentioned earlier. And yeah, you're not gonna. Because you have no idea what healthy energy feels like. I'm not saying zombie energy is it, but in my opinion, with my experience that I have had, I would say this. Here's the scale, okay? Here's the normal line. Let's say that this is the normal line. And bipolar, you're living way, way, way up here. And a zombie is way, way, way down here below the line. Well, when you first start taking your medication, because you're so far up here that this point, bringing you down to this level, is going to feel like you dropped down to this level when you really haven't. You've gotten to a more normal place. You've gotten here. But because you were so outrageously up here, it's not going to feel gentle. It's going to feel like a huge fall. One of the things that the analogies or metaphors that I use when I talk about my experience, I feel like I got kicked by a horse or struck by lightning and I was just like laying on the ground. Like I feel like I just got struck and I was laying on the ground and I laid there. I'm like, forget this. I am not getting back up. If all that's going to happen is I'm going to get struck down this hard again in this way. I was just like, no. So I laid there. Metaphorically, in my head, I just laid there. I laid there for about 5 months before I went to the doctor and started saying, okay, maybe I should try to start getting back up. Maybe I should try to start walking. Maybe I should try to start living. And that's when the medication came into my life. I was ready to give it a go. And yes, at first, it felt like I went from, here's the midline, it felt like I went from here and just plummeted down. But I stuck with it long enough that I started feeling like something was bringing me back up to here. Because I think that when you're so high here and manic and euphoric and delusional and out of control, it's not going to be a gentle slope to normal. It can't be. It just absolutely can't be because you probably haven't rested in possibly decades. And you are going to crash and burn. And that's normal. That's a normal experience. Now, if you crash and burn, I'm not saying to live in this low place where you can't function, but if 2-3 weeks or a month goes by and you can't level up anymore, then yeah, you need to maybe talk to your doctor and figure something out, change it around. There was a flicker on my screen. That was weird. Change it around a little bit, change your dose or try something else or whatever it is to help you kind of pull back up gently to the more normal middle ground. I think a lot of people, now this is how I see it. I think a lot of people stop their medication because, like I said, they miss euphoria. They miss the high. But they're not actually giving their medication a chance. I mean, they haven't tried it for a year. It's like an alcoholic, right? If you are an alcoholic and you want to get sober, chances of you doing it first time out of the gate and staying sober for a whole year is pretty low. I think that the correlation between that and, I would say, bipolar disorder for sure, but possibly mental illness in general is, it's like a mirror. It's identical. You have somebody who's an alcoholic or a drug addict or whatever it is, and it is hard for them to accept how the change they're going through with sobriety makes them feel, because there's not a normal to go back to. They don't know what the normal is. At least for mental illness, I think I was born with this. It manifested and it hit the fan in my 30s, and I look back and I'm like, I never had normal before. I didn't know what normal felt like until I got on my medication, and I stuck with it. That's the difference. You have to stick with it. You have to give your treatments a chance. You can't get it 24 hours later, be asleep all the time, and be like, this isn't working, I quit. I mean, imagine if a woman who didn't want to get pregnant stopped taking her pregnancy or her hello, why can't I think of it? That's embarrassing. Her contraceptives, we'll put it that way. Yeah, her birth control pills. What if she's like, oh, these are working, I'm going to quit taking them? Or, I don't feel like they're working, I'm going to quit taking them. She's going to get pregnant. So if you don't want to lose your sanity, why don't you give your sanity medication a chance to help you stay sane? That's pretty much all I have to say about that. I feel like this is a topic of conversation that could really go a deep way and in a huge direction and multifaceted and this and that and whatever. But at the end of the day, people quit taking their bipolar or mental illness medication because they think that it makes them feel like a zombie when they actually have no sense of what normal energy is supposed to feel like. Give it a chance. Give it more than a week. Give it more than 2 weeks. I would say at the very max, give it a month. Give it 1 month, deal with it, try to live with it, try to see what happens. And if you're not getting better, then go adjust it. But don't just say, oh, this isn't working. Or don't say, oh, this is working. I feel much better now. I'm just going to up and quit taking it. That's not how it works. It's exactly like birth control. If you don't want to get pregnant, you don't stop taking it. If you don't want to lose your sanity, you don't stop taking it. And yeah, there's going to be side effects. There's side effects with birth control pills. There's side effects with other contraceptives. There's side effects with aspirin and Tylenol. There are side effects, but they're not going to, yeah, some could kill you. I get that. But if you don't give it a chance, you're never going to know if the side effects will eventually kind of ease off themselves, because I think that can happen. A lot of people who are on heavy pain medication, they develop a tolerance, right? Give yourself a chance to get a tolerance to this. That's a healthy one. I think there's a healthy tolerance to be had when we're talking about mental illness medication, bipolar medication. I really do think that there's a tolerance. Now, that rapid heartbeat thing, I mean, I might get it 2-3 times a year. I don't get it all the time anymore, but I still can sleep. And I'm still able to rest, and my brain is still able to heal, and I'm able to think clearly the next day because I didn't give up on my treatment. And so on and so on and so on. So anyway, that was the meat and potatoes. It's just been on my mind. I don't know why I wanted to talk about it, but I felt like it was something to talk about that is related to this channel and what I have for the vision of this channel. The astrophotography stuff, it's going to come back around. I bet money on it. We're going to get back to it. But like I said before, it's an ebb and it's a flow. And right now we're just out of the flow. And once we get back into it, we'll be going for, it could be a month that I don't do a video about bipolar disorder or mental illness or wellness. It could be a very long time before we talk about things like this because of doing that. And that's great. That's how I want it to be. But I did want to discuss the topic of people who stop their medication and why. And I'm just putting it out there to think a little bit differently about it. Think slower about it. Just like I know that astrophotography is going to come back around for us. you can also have hope that maybe this medication that you just started or that you've been on for 2 days or 3 days could take you somewhere better. Give it a chance before you throw your hands up and give up. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this line that I'm talking about, that line, this is not okay. This is going to kill you faster than any drug prescribed for bipolar disorder is, as long as you regulate it. Stay low. Start low. Don't let some doctor write you 6 prescriptions. Just don't. Because when you've got 6 prescriptions on board and you have a side effect, you have no idea which one is causing it. I'm no doctor, but I think it's wise to start with 1 and go from there. Just start small. You don't have to listen. Don't mess with the mic. Cat, get off the table. Get off the table. Sorry. You don't have to do whatever your doctor says. You don't. Take it into your own hands. Put your own control on it. Start small. Let yourself start small. Let yourself see how you do with being small. And then growing from there, or changing from there, or adjusting from there. This medication that I'm on right now, it may not last me the rest of my life. I may develop a tolerance to it or develop a new side effect that I cannot tolerate. That will have to be discussed. Till then, I'm going to roll with it. I feel like it's a daily thing. I got to do what I can today. And so do you. So please don't get off of your medications unless you're on way too many of them. Then yes, get off of them. But don't get off of them because you miss the high. I don't miss the high. I love the middle. I love the middle so much. I want to stay here until I'm no longer living. I want to be in this place where I have this kind of control over my sanity, period. And I want the same for you. And you can have it. I know you can have it. But when we talk about advocating for yourself, you've got to help yourself and give yourself a chance. Give your meds a chance. You just try to give it a chance. That's all I'm asking. It's not a big ask. All right. Well, I have been going for 22 minutes. So, and I knew that this one was going to be faster. And like I said, I want to start dinner here in just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to get on with that. But I wanted to put it out there. It's been on my mind. I've been thinking about it. And this is an important conversation. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this video with somebody in your life who needs to see it. Put it out there, because this is a conversation that is not being had in the medical world. And this is a conversation that needs to be had in the medical world. You have more control over your well-being than you give yourself credit for. Just fight for your life. Fight for your life. All right. That's it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Appreciate every single one of you on this page. I will keep you updated about the next new moon cycle. We are going to have family in town kind of right at the beginning of it, so I don't know. I'll have to see. That's just tough when people are in town. Another reason why I haven't been doing very many YouTube vids lately is because my mom actually had 2 eye surgeries, one last week and one today, and they're great. She's doing wonderful. For anybody out there who knows her, she's doing fantastic. She couldn't be more thrilled. We're excited for her. It's a life-changing procedure, and we're just so happy for her. But I've been a little bit like, I'm here for that and not here for this at the moment, and that's a good thing. That's a well-balanced kind of way to look at it. So, okay. Anyway, I'm off. You all have a wonderful evening. We will talk soon. You matter. You matter. Take care of yourself, okay? You're worth it. All right.